Welcome to the deep dive. It's kind of fascinating how freely we toss around the word friend these days. You look at our digital networks, right? Hundreds, sometimes thousands of connections. And then there are those quick, casual meetups in our daily lives.
Yeah, feels like we're constantly surrounded.
Exactly, surrounded by people. But when you actually pause and think about it, really reflect, how many of those connections genuinely nourish your spirit?
That's the real question.
How many are those deep, sort of unwavering bonds that sustain you versus the ones that just, fill the time?
It's an incredibly profound question, isn't it? I mean, this basic human need we have for connection, it's as old as we are. You just can't deny it.
Right.
Yet today's world,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, the pace, the constant digital noise, the sheer volume of superficial interactions, it's made it so much harder to tell the difference.
The difference between what? Like real intimacy?
Yeah, genuine intimacy, deep relationships versus something that's just, fleeting, superficial.
That distinction is absolutely crucial. And, well, that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Mm-hmm.
Our deep dive is all about unpacking the insights, which are often really nuanced, from this really thought-provoking source. Excerpts from Real Friends and Time Fillers, A Global Connection.
Ah, yes. A really interesting piece.
And the author. Well, there's someone who really skillfully bridges, ancient wisdom with modern global perspectives. Maybe you know their other work, Global Leadership Insights 2030.
It's quite possible they have that ability to make you confront the core of connection.
Totally. Not just in our personal lives, which is important enough, but also on this much bigger scale global, between nations, cultures, even companies.
Indeed. So we're kind of embarking on a journey here to explore their basic definitions. What really makes a real friend versus a time filler.
Right.
And we'll dig into how these ideas show up in our own close relationships, sure, but also in those complex dynamics of, say, international relations.
And the goal.
Well, ultimately, our mission is to offer you, the listener, a way to reflect deeply on what connection truly means in this.
Well, it often feels like an overwhelmingly noisy, digitally overloaded world.
It's not just theory, then.
No, not at all. It's meant to be practical, like a shortcut to understanding some really critical, actionable insights from this material, giving you clarity, hopefully, and some wisdom you can actually use, maybe even transform how you see and build your relationships.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's draw that foundational line the source talks about right away. Real friends versus time fillers.
The core contrast.
Yeah. It paints such a vivid picture of real friends, describes them as these exceptionally rare people who stand beside us when life gets heavy, when silence is thick, when words are not enough. I mean, just pause on that for a second. Feel the weight of that.
It's powerful phrasing.
It really is. It speaks to this unwavering presence, right? A depth of support that goes way beyond just chatting or having common interests or, doing stuff together.
It's about being truly seen. Exactly. Seen and held, even when it's totally quiet.
And that's where the real insight lies, I think. The force isn't just defining a type of person, it's describing a quality of connection.
Okay.
When it says silence is thick, when words are not enough, it's pointing out that real friendship works beyond just, like, constant activity or giving advice.
Right. It's not about filling the silence.
No. It's about this deep, almost spiritual comfort you find in shared vulnerability. A bond so strong it doesn't need chatter to prove it's there. The real friend offers, like, emotional scaffolding, a safe place where you can just be.
Even when you feel completely undone.
Especially then, or when there's just nothing left to say. That unspoken understanding, that solid presence, that's the bedrock.
And the contrast with time fillers. Wow, it couldn't be more stark, could it?
Not really.
These are the people who, as the source says, come and go. They might keep us busy, but never touch the deeper ground of our being.
That phrase, deeper ground of our being.
It's unsettling, isn't it? Because their interactions might seem fine, maybe even pleasant on the surface. Polite, maybe transactional, convenient.
Sure, easy.
But what's missing is that core thing, that emotional resonance, that genuine interest in who you really are deep down. They fill your schedule.
But not your soul. Exactly. The time filler, they're characterized by this fundamental lack of, reciprocity. At that deeper level, anyway.
So they might share stuff, like anecdotes?
Oh, they might share, sure. But they rarely truly give of themselves. And they might talk a lot, but they seldom really listen. Not with an open heart.
Okay.
And the insight here, which is kind of profound, is that these interactions, even though they seem harmless, can actually make us feel lonelier
How so?
because they create this illusion of connection.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't give us that real nourishment our spirit needs. So you could have a packed calendar,
But feel empty inside.
an empty emotional well, yeah.
Okay, so this brings us to something really crucial and often, let's be honest, tricky. Discerning between them.
The challenge of discernment?
Yeah. The source points out how incredibly hard it can be to tell the difference, especially, early on.
Right at the beginning.
It talks about those friendships that just boost onto the scene, feeling sparkling in the beginning, almost intoxicating, right? That initial intensity.
We've all been there.
Yeah. But then, maybe predictably, they vanish at the first storm. We've all experienced those, haven't we? The ones that burn super bright, super fast,
Promise the world.
and then fizzle out. Gone.
Indeed. And we're often drawn to that, aren't we? Almost instinctively. That immediate intensity, that quick gratification in relationships.
Why do you think that is?
Well, maybe it mirrors a broader thing in society, where speed and surface level excitement often get prioritized over slow and steady.
Makes sense.
Yet the source gently pushes us towards trusting a different way. The path of slow, quiet growth. It talks about connections that grow slowly, quietly, without drama.
Less noise.
Exactly. But which eventually become a home. And just think about what a home provides. Not just shelter, but security, comfort,
Belong.
a deep sense of belonging, yeah. A place where you're just fully accepted, warts and all.
So that raises some big questions for us, doesn't it? Like, why are our first impressions often so misleading when it comes to people?
It's complicated.
What is it about that immediate spark that can kind of blind us to the long-term reality, or maybe the lack of it?
It's a mix of things, I suspect. Part of it might just be our own desire for quick connection in this fast world. We might confuse shared hobbies or, instant chemistry with actual compatibility and commitment.
And the cost of getting it wrong.
Well, the long-term emotional cost of misjudging those sparks can be pretty high. Imagine pouring your time, your energy, your vulnerability into connections that turn out to be hollow.
Yeah, that hurts.
It can leave you feeling really disappointed, maybe even more isolated than you were before. So the source, by emphasizing that slow growth, it teaches us that patience isn't just like a nice quality in friendship. It's actually a vital tool.
A tool for what?
For revealing true character, for building bonds that actually last. It's about seeing the difference between, say, a flashy firework display and a solid foundation you can build on.
And this difficulty, this challenge of discernment, it's only made worse by our modern world, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The source has this powerful critique about contemporary life, especially the constant noise, digital connection, endless scrolling.
It's relentless.
We're just bombarded all the time. Information, updates, invites to engage. We follow, we like, we react.
Click, click, click.
But is it real connection? Or are we, maybe, without even realizing it, just building this complex illusion of connection, one that actually distracts us from feeling, well, lonely deep down?
That's such a critical point. Think about social media metrics for a second. Follower counts, likes, shares.
It's a numbers game.
Right. They can create this false sense of popularity, this comforting mirage that you belong. You might have hundreds, thousands of connections online.
But feel totally alone.
Paradoxically, yes. Profoundly isolated. The source suggests this digital landscape, even though it was meant to draw us closer, has kind of accidentally made it easier than ever to surround ourselves with people who do not matter.
On that deeper level.
On that deeper level, yeah. It creates this blurring effect,
Yeah.
where the sheer quantity of interactions easily overshadows the quality, and we end up chasing these little dopamine hits instead of real human warmth.
Yeah.
It basically makes fertile ground for the time filler person.
Yes, the archetype of the modern time filler. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
This is that person you keep meeting, right?
Yeah.
Maybe at work, in social circles, even in your extended network. They're the one who talks, who shares, but never truly gives, never truly listens.
It's an unsettling idea.
It really is. That we might be having these conversations that just go in circles, where the other person is basically just echoing us or maybe using us to fill their own emptiness without any real give and take, no deep interest in how we're actually doing.
And this archetype, it shows up in subtle ways, but they're pervasive.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, maybe it's the colleague who dominates every meeting with their own stuff, but never asks about the challenges you're facing. Or the acquaintance who tells you endless stories about their life, but their eyes glaze over the second you try to share something of yours.
I think we all know people like that.
Probably. The key signs, as the source hints, are that consistent lack of active listening, a disinterest in your actual well-being beyond just surface politeness, and crucially, a total absence of real support, emotional or practical, when you genuinely need it.
So the interaction mainly flows one way.
Primarily one way, yeah. And it leaves you feeling drained, not nourished. The source points out that modern tools offer convenience, sure, but they've also kind of enabled this kind of superficial surrounding, which makes it even more vital for us to actively cultivate real reciprocity and deep listening in our interactions.
But okay, despite all these complexities, the discernment challenge, the noise, the digital stuff, there's one simple, really solid truth the source keeps coming back to.
Which,
The human need for friendship is absolute, period. No one can live a truly full life without it. It's not optional.
not a luxury, no.
Yeah.
It's fundamental to our well-being.
Exactly.
So the question isn't if we need friendship, it's which kind we choose to cultivate, which kind we prioritize.
It forces us to be intentional.
Absolutely, to become discerning architects of our own social worlds. And I'd actually prompt you, the listener, right now. Just reflect on your own circles for a moment. How many of your connections genuinely feed your soul, offer that deep support,
Versus the others.
versus the ones who, yeah, maybe just fill the space, keep you busy, polite chat, but don't really touch that deeper ground of your being. It's a really powerful, sometimes eye-opening reflection to undertake.
And here's where things get really interesting, I think. The source takes this very personal idea of friendship and expands it, with amazing insight, really, into the global arena.
Right, the macro level.
It states, quite profoundly, that friendship is not only personal, it is also cultural. It is also the way societies connect across borders. And that just stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? It makes you think way beyond individual bonds.
It immediately forces you to consider that whole complex web. Relationships between nations, institutions, global companies.
And it draws this direct, really impactful parallel, which kind of reshapes how we look at international relations.
It does. Just like in our personal lives, the source points out that some connections between nations, institutions, or companies are only time fillers.
Okay, unpack that. What does a global time filler look like?
Well, think about those relationships. They might be very polite, mostly surface level, transactional, focused on specific deals or outcomes.
They look good on paper.
Exactly. They look good on paper. Maybe they achieve certain diplomatic goals or economic targets, maybe even get some positive press coverage. But the moment pressure comes,
Like a crisis?
yeah, a geopolitical crisis, an economic slump, maybe just a clash of core interests, they vanish.
So it's like a fair weather friend, but scaled up, globally.
Pretty much. They're there for the photo op, the easy trade deal, the joint press statement. But when a real test hits, when things get tough or interests really diverge, that friendship, that alliance, just evaporates. It reveals how shallow its foundation really was.
No real substance underneath.
Exactly. And the stark contrast is drawn with real friendships between cultures built on trust, on patience, on empathy.
Those sound rare.
Incredibly rare, the source says, often painstakingly built over years, decades even. But when they do exist, they last decades, sometimes centuries.
Wow. That implies serious resilience.
A depth that goes way beyond immediate gain, yeah. And the huge implication here is that these global time filler relationships, these superficial alliances, they actually contribute to instability in the world
Because they're not reliable.
because they lack true underlying commitment. They're inherently likely to collapse when tested. And that can lead to more geopolitical volatility, failed projects, and inability to tackle big global problems together.
Whereas the real connections,
A truly resilient global connection demands that sustained investment, mutual understanding, willingness to navigate bumps in the road with a long view, a shared commitment to the collective good, even when it's inconvenient or costs something short-term.
this whole parallel, this idea of global real friends and time fillers, it's apparently a major theme in the author's other big work, Global Leadership Insights 2030.
Yes, it's not just a side note for them. It's central to how they see the ethics and the practicalities of international relations and global business today.
Which explains why discernment is so critical for leaders.
Absolutely vital in global leadership. How do leaders, heads of state, CEOs, heads of big international bodies, how do they tell the difference between a real alliance and one that's just, convenient for now, short-term gain?
Requires skill.
It demands sharp observation, deep understanding of different cultures, and maybe most importantly, a willingness to look past the immediate shiny benefits.
Can you give an example, maybe hypothetically?
Sure. Think about, say, a major international partnership. announced with huge fanfare, promising massive economic benefits. But if that partnership isn't built on shared values, a history of mutual respect, a genuine willingness to compromise, it's probably going to stumble. First sign of an economic downturn, a political disagreement, some unexpected global shock.
It fractures.
Highly likely. Conversely, history kind of shows us, even if the source doesn't list specific cases, that nations which have truly invested in building empathetic relationships, sometimes even after really intense conflict, can forge bonds that withstand enormous pressure.
Enabling them to work together later.
Right, to collaborate on complex global challenges long after the initial crisis is over. It's about building bridges that can actually carry weight, not just bridges that look good in photos.
Okay, this leads us into one of the most fascinating sections of the source, I think, where it takes us on this incredible journey, continent by continent.
Exploring the different flavors of friendship.
Exactly, how it manifests differently around the globe. But, and this is the key, despite all the rich cultural nuances, the different ways it's expressed, that core truth, time fillers versus real friends, it stays powerfully universal.
It's like the underlying melody is constant, but the rhythm and instruments change depending on where you are.
Beautifully put. So where do we start? Africa.
Let's start with Africa. The source describes friendship there as being deeply rooted in community, in extended family, and significantly, in the long memory of ancestors.
Wow. Long memory.
Yeah, and highlights the spirit of Ubuntu, captured in that amazing phrase, "I am because we are."
That's powerful.
And it's not just some abstract idea, it's a lived reality, a way of life where who you are, your well-being, is just tangled up completely with a group. Friendship isn't a solo act.
It's part of the community rhythm.
A shared rhythm, exactly. A reciprocal dance within the bigger community fabric. A network of mutual support built over generations. So a time filler in that context, it's starkly defined. As someone who breaks the rhythm, who takes without giving, they mess up the harmony. They don't uphold their basic obligations to the group, and by doing that, they weaken everyone. They become a burden, not a help. They're essentially anti-Ubuntu.
That deep focus on belonging, on reciprocity, it really hits home. It's not just what you do for one person, but how you fit into the whole picture.
And contribute to it.
Right. So moving from that communal spirit, the source takes us to Asia, where it notes that friendship may be subtle, not always loud,
Tighter,
but built through ritual, through respect, through long-term loyalty. I was really struck by the example of China, where a real friendship may take years to ripen.
Takes time.
Yeah, and things like respect, face, long memory, they matter more than, say, quick intimacy. It suggests a real patience, a layered way of connecting.
And that's a big contrast, isn't it, to some Western ideas of immediate connection, open emotional sharing. In many Asian cultures, showing deep respect, carefully preserving face, which is about dignity, reputation for yourself and others, and building that long shared history of experiences and support, that's absolutely essential.
Trust isn't given quickly.
No, it's earned slowly through consistent, respectful actions, shared meals, quiet gestures, just investing time over a long period. It's a process of watching subtle signaling.
So the Asian time filler
Is vividly described as someone who seeks shortcuts, someone who burns the bridge before it is even built.
impatient.
They lack the patience, the cultural savvy, the real commitment needed for that slow, careful relationship building. Their push for quick intimacy or maybe a quick deal, it just undermines the whole foundation of respect and long-term trust. They break the code.
Okay, from Asia's patient trust building, we go to Europe, a continent whose history, the source reminds us powerfully, is full of broken ties and rebuilt friendships.
A lot of history there.
It says friendship there has been tested through wars, reconciliations, through rebuilding. That historical weight, it's immense, isn't it? It suggests that true European friendship, especially between nations, often has to involve forgiveness.
It really does. I mean, after centuries of conflict, deep divisions, painful history, European nations have had to face that tough but ultimately freeing need for reconciliation.
But it's not easy.
Now, the source wisely says that such forgiveness is never cheap. It requires honesty. It's not about forgetting or just papering over the cracks. It's about facing the painful truths, admitting past harms, and then consciously, painstakingly choosing to rebuild trust.
Takes courage.
Immense courage and humility,
Yeah.
from everyone involved. So the European time filler in this context is very clearly defined. The one who pretends reconciliation but avoids the truth. They might say the right diplomatic words, make superficial gestures, sign agreements that lack real teeth.
But they dodge the hard conversations.
Exactly. They shy away from the honesty, the accountability needed for real healing and building strong, lasting connections. Their friendship is just a thin layer over old resentments.
Then we cross the Atlantic to the Americas. Friendship there is described as often loud, enthusiastic, full of warmth.
You can almost feel the energy.
Right, that immediate expressiveness, passionate engagement. But it comes with a really critical warning: depth. Not to mistake intensity for stability.
Oof, that's a powerful one. Vital.
Why is that warning so important there?
Well, I think the cultural value placed on being outwardly expressive, instantly warm, enthusiastic, it can sometimes, maybe accidentally, hide a lack of real solid commitment underneath.
So the initial intensity feels strong.
Incredibly strong, promising. You may think, wow, this is deep. But if that intensity isn't actually rooted in something more solid, like shared values, reliability, willingness to stick it out through tough times, it can be surprisingly fragile.
And the American time filler?
Is clearly identified as the one who shouts friendship but disappears when silence arrives.
Loud when things are fun.
Exactly. Vibrantly present, engaged. When the conversation's buzzing, there's a party, energy's high, spotlight's on. But when life inevitably gets hard, when you need quiet presence, not fanfare, when you need someone to just listen deeply while you struggle silently,
Gone.
poof, vanished. Leaving an emotional hole where that noisy presence used to be. Their enthusiasm was conditional.
And finally, Oceania. A really unique, compelling view here. The source says that on islands, friendship is survival. You cannot afford to live without it.
That paints a stark picture. Extreme interdependence.
Relationships aren't just nice, they're lifelines, essential for existence.
Absolutely. That unique island geography, often remote, limited resources, vulnerable to nature, it just massively amplifies the need for genuine, reliable, deeply reciprocal ties.
So a time filler there is more than just annoying.
Oh, much more. The source explicitly says they may be dangerous because survival depends on trust. Someone who takes and doesn't give, who's unreliable in a crisis, who weakens community bonds. In an island context, that doesn't just cause social awkwardness.
It threatens survival.
It directly jeopardizes the well-being, the resilience, maybe even the survival of the whole group. It's a stark, almost existential illustration of how crucial trust is and how devastating its absence can be. Their presence is a liability.
So as we've kind of zipped around the globe here, do you see it? How powerfully personal friendship and global connection just mirror each other.
It's striking, isn't it?
Just like the source says, the same patterns, the same dangers, the same rare treasures. It really drives home that these differences between real and superficial, they aren't just abstract thoughts, they play out everywhere, from our closest relationships right up to top-level global diplomacy and business.
It truly is this profound, unifying observation. It brings all these different threads together, and it encourages us, the listener, to actively think, how might these cultural insights help me understand my own relationships better?
Maybe foster more empathy.
Exactly. More empathy, maybe better strategies for understanding people from different backgrounds. And equally, how can these insights deepen how we understand global events, the real nature of alliances, the hidden weak spots in international partnerships?
Seeing the human dynamics underneath it all.
That's it, seeing the underlying human dynamics in every single interaction.
Which is precisely why, as the source stresses in works like Global Leadership Insights 2030, leadership is presented as being not about strategies or numbers alone.
That's such a common trap in business and politics, isn't it? Thinking leaders are just strategists or finance gurus or process optimizers.
People who execute plans perfectly.
But the author argues, really compellingly, that true leadership, seen through this lens of real connections, is fundamentally about learning to recognize what is real.
Seeing beyond the surface.
To see beyond appearances, to know who stands with you when the storms come. And that insight just completely changes how we think about effective leadership.
It's not just managing resources.
No. Or projecting power, or negotiating deals. It's about building deep trust, fostering genuine, resilient connections, whether that's inside a team, across a whole company, or between diverse global partners.
So a leader needs sharp discernment.
Acute discernment to spot real commitment versus just superficial agreement. Understanding deep down that the resilience, the long-term success of anything, a company, a nation, a global cause, depends entirely on the quality of its relationships. And that takes emotional intelligence, cultural humility, and the guts to prioritize authenticity.
This insight also totally reframes what good global communication is about, doesn't it?
Completely. It's not enough anymore to just only count the number of contacts you've got piled up on LinkedIn or in your diplomatic address book.
The focus shifts.
The crucial question becomes, which of these are true connections? It's a powerful switch, from just focusing on quantity to this unwavering commitment to quality, real quality.
And that quality focus leads to tougher questions.
Deeper, more challenging questions, yeah. Who listens to us not only when we shine, but also when we stumble?
That's big.
Who is willing to be silent with us when no strategy, no deal, no words can fix what is broken? This lifts global communication beyond just diplomacy or transactional bargaining or strategic maneuvering.
Into something more human.
It becomes human. It becomes alive. It's about allowing for shared vulnerability, showing mutual support, fostering that deep empathetic understanding that goes beyond official rules and prepared statements. It makes space for the hard truth, the difficult silence, the steady presence that marks a real bond.
And the source includes a couple of powerful little stories, anecdotes that really nail this. I was really hit by the chat with a Singaporean colleague.
Yes.
Who said so elegantly, networking fills your schedule. Friendship fills your soul. That's just so concise but utterly profound, right?
That's the nail on the head.
And it applies just as much to us as individuals seeking meaning as it does to nations trying to build real, lasting alliances.
It's an absolutely vital distinction, especially today when we're often obsessed with the surface level of networking. Networking is useful, sure, expands reach, opens doors, creates opportunities.
But it lacks something.
It often fundamentally lacks the emotional depths, the unconditional support, the genuine care that true friendship offers. The colleague from Singapore nails it. Networking achieves external, often transactional goals. But it's friendship, genuine friendship, that nourishes our inner selves, gives us lasting fulfillment.
And for nations.
Same truth applies.
Yeah.
Alliances built just on strategic networking, on shifting geopolitical convenience, without that deeper foundation of trust and shared values. While they might serve short-term needs, but they'll always lack soul, lack resilience. They won't hold up when things get tough. They're empty vessels, really.
And the other story from the young Nigerian leader. It paints such a clear picture of loyalty, of presence.
The one about the rain.
Yeah. Here, if you only show up when the sun is shining, you are not a friend. A friend is the one who comes when the rain falls. It's just simple, undeniable. The real test isn't in the good times.
It's in adversity. It resonates so strongly with the source's core definition, right? Real friends stand beside us when life gets heavy, when silence is thick.
Right.
In so many cultures, as these examples show so beautifully, just showing up reliably when things are hard, when there's nothing obvious to gain. That's the ultimate proof of loyalty, care, real commitment.
It's not about celebrating the wins.
No, it's about that unwavering presence, often quiet, maybe unassuming, during the struggles, the crises, when there's no immediate payoff. And these powerful voices, these simple reminders from different cultures, they're so important in our noisy, often shallow world, which can easily distract us from these core truths about connection.
Because unfortunately, society today often seems to celebrate the wide circle, doesn't it? The big network, rather than the deep bond.
There's pressure.
We're subtly encouraged, maybe without even realizing it, to become trophy collectors of connections, as the source puts it so well. Measuring our value, our success, our influence, not by the depth of our friendships, but by the number of followers or likes or contacts we rack up.
It's an incredibly superficial metric, even damaging.
It really is.
There's huge societal pressure, amplified by digital platforms, to keep up appearances, maintain a large network, seem popular, quantify our influence with those visible numbers. But the source powerfully pushes back against that whole narrative with a simple truth.
Which holds a lot of weight.
A truth that, despite being simple, is profound. One real friend is worth more than 100 time fillers. One genuine global partnership is worth more than 100 staged alliances.
That's not just poetry.
No, it's a call to action. Resist the illusion. Recognize the deep, lasting fulfillment and strength that only comes from real, authentic bonds.
So how can individuals fight that trophy collecting pressure?
By consciously choosing quality over quantity. By intentionally investing your limited time, your emotional energy, your vulnerability into a select few deep connections, rather than spreading yourself thin across countless surface-level contacts. The deep fulfillment you get from real bonds, it vastly outweighs that fleeting validation, often tinged with emptiness, from a wide but shallow network. It's almost an act of self-preservation. Courageous self-preservation in a world designed to distract us.
And ultimately, maybe the most profound summary of it all. The source boils down the definition of friendship, personal or global, to one incredibly powerful word:
Which is?
presence. It's about choosing to stand beside another human being or another culture, even when it is inconvenient, even when there is nothing to gain.
That last part. Nothing to gain.
That's absolutely key, isn't it? It gets to the unconditional nature of real connection.
It truly is the defining feature. To offer presence means being fully there. Attentive, emotionally available, genuinely committed, without expecting anything back right away. No immediate benefit, no personal gain.
It pushes against transactional thinking.
Completely challenges that transactional mindset that, sadly, creeps into so much of modern life, where relationships get viewed through this lens of what's in it for me.
Right.
True friendship, whether between two people or two nations, goes beyond self-interest. It's about a deep, empathetic bond that lasts precisely because it's rooted in mutual respect, unconditional support, and a commitment that holds firm even when things are tough and the way forward isn't clear. It's the ultimate act of selfless care.
So, as you, the listener, reflect on everything we've explored here, let me pose some direct questions, drawn straight from the source's wisdom.
Time for reflection.
Who are your real friends in your personal life? And who is just filling the time, occupying space, but not truly nourishing you?
And looking broader.
And on that broader scale, yeah, in your global work maybe, or just how you understand world events. Who is genuinely building a bridge with you? A bridge meant for a shared journey, lasting connection, and who's just, painting a pretty picture of a bridge, but never actually intending to cross it with you?
These questions, they're not meant to make you feel judged. Not at all.
No.
They're meant to invite a really necessary, honest reflection. To truly look at the quality of your connections in your intimate life and in your professional and global worlds too.
Because in the end,
Leadership, communication, life itself, it's not really about how much we collect, how many contacts, followers, superficial alliances we gather. It's about how deeply, how authentically, how meaningfully we connect.
and maybe that's the simplest, most lasting truth of it all. Real friendship between people, communities, nations, it doesn't need constant performing.
No constant proving itself. No need for validation through big gestures or public shows.
It just is.
It simply remains, quietly, steadily, like a powerful river, just keeps flowing. Unwavering, persistent, no matter how many stones get thrown into it, no matter how much the landscape changes around it.
It endures.
It persists through seasons, through challenges, through dry spells, always there, providing sustenance, continuity, a quiet, unyielding force in the landscape of our lives.
So our hope for you listening now is that through this deep dive, you learn to truly see the difference with clarity and with courage.
The courage to act on it.
May you dare to let go of the time fillers, those surface connections that keep you busy, sure, but ultimately drain your energy without feeding your soul.
And most importantly,
May you truly honor, cherish, and actively protect those precious few who really do walk beside you in your own journey and in the wider tapestry of our world. Because in the end, it's those genuine connections, those real friends. They're the ones who truly carry us through the toughest storms and who genuinely celebrate with us in the sunshine. They provide the real foundation for a rich, resilient, and truly meaningful life.